Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Finance with Parks. So on today's episode, we are going to do a comparison of YouTube TV versus Sling. I wanted to start a spending video series, and one of the main monthly bills that you have, right, is television. We don't pay for cable. We're part of the cord-cutting community, so to speak, but we spend our money on YouTube TV now. We used to have Sling and canceled it about a year ago. So in today's video, I'm going to go through why we ended up stopping Sling, switching over to YouTube TV, comparisons about the cost, comparisons about the channel, and why we're going to continue to be with YouTube TV for the extended period. Let's get into it. Alright, so we started with Sling for $20 a month with the orange package. And that included channels like ESPN, TNT, TBS. However, you will notice that a lot of the major networks were missing from Sling. ABC and CBS are both non-existent, and Fox and NBC are only available in select markets. So that's a huge downer right off the bat. Now, you do get 30 plus channels with that package. However, you quickly realize that a majority of the major events, whether they be sports, politics, entertainment, they all kind of happen on those main channels. So you figure out really quickly you miss out on a lot without having those on Sling. In fairness, there are workarounds for some of those main channels. However, ABC, for example, is near impossible to find a stream for. And really the only way you can do that is to pay for ABC's specific streaming service itself. And just a caveat on the price, although we did start out paying $20 a month, that increased to $25 a month while we were members. But I was just looking the other day, and both base packages now, the orange and the blue, are already up to $30, so keep that in mind when you sign up. Now, it wasn't all negative with Sling. One of the parts I really liked were the customization options. So like I mentioned, just quickly, the orange and the blue packages that I mentioned, those are what they call their base options. So you could pick one of those two, or you can pick both. And the price range varies. But with the extras, you can add on to that base package, we'll say niche groups of channels. So for example, there's a sports extra. So if you have the orange package, the sports extra, the draw for me was to get the NHL network and the Pac-12 network. I'm an Arizona grad. I love watching Arizona football and basketball. Although our basketball team's always a disappointment and our football team's irrelevant, I paid a little extra to get the sports network for the Pac-12. There's also, if you have the blue base package, the sports extra, that is $10 a month as well. And that gets both the Pac-12 network and the NHL network. However, that one switches out a couple with the golf channel and beIN Sports if you're a big soccer fan. And so I remember signing up for Sling originally and being a little confused with what's in the orange base package, what's in the blue base package, why is my sports extra channels different if I have the blue versus the orange. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I don't pretend to be an expert, but I did have Sling for over 2 years, so I do understand the picking for the most part. And I'll leave a link in the description for both the Sling channel selection in general, but also a separate web page for an explanation about the extras. And so outside of sports, I also did pay for one Heartland extra, and that included a hunting channel and the World Fishing Network. If you didn't know that bass fishing had a major leagues, you are totally missing out. I love watching fishing shows. It is a total hobby of mine, and so I paid the extra $5 a month to get the Heartland extra on top of the sports channels. So beyond that, the one giant plus that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore with Sling TV is that it used to carry the NFL Network and NFL Redzone. If you're a big NFL fan, you know that the NFL Redzone as a standalone subscription is not cheap. And to get that for an extra $10 a month within an existing sports package was honestly one of the reasons we stayed along with Sling for such an extended period of time. However, they've taken away both of those options. So now I hate to admit this, but fast forward to Bachelor season and not having ABC became a deal breaker for my fiance. Swear it was just her. You do realize, though, even outside of The Bachelor, that not having the main channels, it's a real downfall for having cable TV in general. I mean, that's where a lot of your main events are. That's where you get your local news. So not having ABC and CBS after a while really became a drag. So after it became difficult to ignore, we kind of started looking at other options, and we happened to be at a friend's house who had YouTube TV, said great things about it, so we decided to check it out. We actually spent probably 2 months or so with having both Sling and YouTube TV because I just couldn't quite cut the cord on Sling and lose the NFL Redzone and my fishing shows because I didn't have those on the new YouTube TV subscription. However, fast forward, football season ended. I ended up finding an option for the outdoor network for my fishing shows for just $50 a year. So really I ran out of excuses for just NFL Redzone holding me to Sling and paying $50 a month for that. Now, YouTube TV is a little pricier from a base perspective. It is $55 a month when we signed up, and I checked yesterday, it's actually up to $65 a month. So that is a little unfortunate. However, I still think that's a great deal. It includes 85 plus channels, which is a ton. Like I mentioned earlier, the Sling base only had 30. So it is still pretty competitive, and with all the Sling extras I was paying for, it was pretty close to $50. Now, YouTube TV does still get a decent sports package, but you will notice it is missing the Pac-12 network and also my fishing shows that I mentioned earlier. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, why do you care about missing out on the Pac-12 network? You probably wouldn't be wrong, but I still am a sucker for Arizona sports, so that hurts a little bit. So far, we couldn't be happier with the YouTube TV option. It has a ton of channels, everything you could ask for. It's not that expensive per month, and we really enjoyed it all the way around. You can also have 6 accounts signed in at one time and up to 3 devices live streaming, I think is the package that we have paid for. So I share it with my sister, and that also helps cut back on the costs a little bit. All right, so that's the summary. I will put a link in the description to the 2 things I mentioned about Sling TV and then also the main YouTube TV channel. I hope that helped. Coming from somebody who's had both, I really did like Sling, but to be honest, I think it's come downhill substantially since I had it. And YouTube TV really seems to be gaining momentum and gaining popularity and getting better. So I'm happy we've made that choice. We're going to stick around for the extended future. But if you have any questions about the 2 options, feel free to let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to y'all soon.